Let us now talk about the next topic, which is break and continue statements. We have already talked about loops and they were amazing. They can help us avoid writing a lot of lines of Python code and they can help us get the job done when it comes to repetitive tasks. So what I'll do is I'll say break.py and let me show you what exactly this statement does. Let's say I have a range loop, which is a for loop. Let's say I say for I in range 0 to 21. And let's say I print I. Okay, a very simple program which prints 0 to 20. It starts from 0 and it will print all the numbers all the way till 20. A very simple program. Now let us say for some reason I want it to cancel the execution whenever it encounters a number which is exactly equal to 11, let us say. Okay, so I'll say if and I'll say I equal to 11. What you do is stop the execution of the loop, and this stop the execution of the loop is break statement. Okay, so when I say break, I'm essentially saying stop the execution of this loop. So let's see what will happen if this loop runs. It will run for I is equal to 0, then it will run for I is equal to 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. But when the value of I is 11, it will actually go inside this if statement and it will break the loop. And when I say break the loop, this for loop will be stopped, which means it will no longer be executed. Let's see this in action. If I run this program again, I see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when the value of I becomes 11, it is printed and immediately the loop is halted. So break is essentially saying cancel the execution of this loop. Cancel the execution of this loop now. Okay, so let's do view word wrap. So cancel the execution of this loop now. This is what break statement does. Let me show you a quick tip. So what you can do is go to your settings in VS Code and search for word wrap. And this will help you avoid clicking this view and word wrap all the time. So there is an option of keeping word wrap on by default. So if you do editor word wrap and if you keep it on, it's always going to be on. Even if you restart VS Code, it will be on. So it's a good idea to keep it on. Okay, so this was break statement. Whenever you want to cancel the execution of a loop, you can always do that using break statement. Okay, I hope that it was helpful. Now let's talk about continue statement. Okay, and this is very similar to break, but it's a bit different and I'll show you how it is different. Let us say I have a for loop which is printing values from 1 to 20 this time instead of 0 to 20 like last time. Okay, let's do print I. It's a very simple program. It will print numbers from 1 to 19. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all the way till 19. A very simple program we already have seen. Okay, now let's see what will happen if I say if I equals to if I equals to 10, if I say break, we know what will happen. Okay, if I say break, we know what will happen. It will run for I is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The moment the value of I is 10, it will break, which means the value 10 is not printed. If I run this program for you, the value from 1 to 9 will be printed on the screen. A very simple program, right? Now let's see what will happen if I write continue instead of break. So continue is basically telling the Python interpreter that, hey, I actually want to continue this particular iteration of the loop. Listen to me very carefully. Let me explain this to you. Ideally, when loop is running, it will run for all the iterations 1, 2, 3, I is equal to 4, I is equal to 5, I is equal to 6, all the way till I is equal to 19. But continue says that, hey, instead of going back to the loop here, you go back to the loop now. So it's basically saying that whenever you encounter me, do not execute whatever is below me just for this iteration. Now let me explain this to you. So continue says that, hey, when the value of I is 10, you just go to the next iteration, which is I is equal to 11 and skip this statement or any statement which is below continue. So continue basically says, continue the loop from here itself. Continue the loop for the next iteration here itself. Okay, so it says you stop the current iteration of the loop and you just go to the next iteration of the loop. So this particular continue, instead of halting the loop like break, will halt the single iteration of the loop. Okay, I hope that it was very easy. So the output of this program is going to be 1 to 9, then 11 to 19. Let's check that. So 1 to 9, then 11 to 19, because the value 10 is skipped. So we said if I is equal to 10, you continue. And that basically means that you go to I is equal to 11 and don't execute this particular iteration of this loop. I hope that you were able to understand this, and if not, make sure that you write some programs. You will automatically understand how these things are working. If you are a beginner and trying out programming for the first time, Python programming language, even though it's very simple language, can be a little bit daunting. But let me tell you, once you write some programs, it'll be very easy. So I insist you go and write some programs instead of just watching the videos. Writing the programs will make you the master in the long run. So make sure you practice. Before I wrap this video, I want to tell you about the pass statement. What is a pass statement? The pass statement is a placeholder that does nothing. What does that mean? Now let us say I want to write something here. I'll say if I is equal to 12 and I want to do nothing. I want to say do nothing, just literally nothing. I can't obviously write this, okay? I can't even do this because Python is expecting something here and it's giving me a red line. It's saying, hey, what do you want to write inside the if statement? You have already exited the if statement. It's not allowed. But you can do something like if I is equal to 12, pass. You can do something like this, okay? Let me show this to you in another program to avoid confusion, because this program is dedicated to continue, right? So let's say the value of I is, value of I is 3. And I want to write something like, let me select this and press Shift Tab so that I can unindent. Let me tell you that if you want to intend or unintend a piece of code, you can always press Tab or Shift plus Tab to unintend. Okay, this is a shortcut in VS Code and you should know about it. And throughout this course, I'm going to tell all the tips and tricks that you will need forever. Not just for Python, not just for this video, forever throughout your programming career. Okay, so I is 3 and I'm saying if I is 12, do nothing. Or let us say I want to say if I is 3, do nothing. I can write pass. That's about it. So if you feel like not writing something inside this if statement now and you plan to write later, you can always write pass and go ahead and start writing your code. So I can say end of program, and if I run this program, you will see that end of program is printed because I'm not doing anything if the value of I is 3, so it doesn't matter. So even if I say if I is equal to 32, it'll do nothing. End of program. So pass basically says do nothing. So it's a keyword in Python that means do nothing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Awesome. So the pass statement is a placeholder that does nothing. It is used when syntax requires a statement but no action is needed. So you can do something like I equals to 3, pass, which is do nothing. Now you might argue that why do we write it when it does nothing? Sometimes we want to write some piece of code later, so we write pass. This is very helpful when we'll study about functions where we write a lot of code, but sometimes we just declare the functions and write pass because we intend to define them later. What it exactly means will be shown in the section dedicated to functions. But I hope you are enjoying this course. Make sure you access the handbook because I have worked really hard to put it together for you, and I would really love for you to download this handbook. See you in the next video.